All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the FTG Podcast. It feels like a while since I've done one of these, probably because it is. I think it's been about 4 weeks or so now. So obviously we brought the podcast back with episode 16 when we had Macca on a few weeks back. Um, and I did actually have a schedule for about 8 weeks. Every single Sunday we was going to have someone on. But you all guys know what it's like. Life gets in the way. And I just decided to put things off until after I'd had my surgery and recovered and all that kind of stuff, just so that there wasn't 1 or 2 weeks of it and then a gap in between. And, I just thought probably better off to push things back for a few weeks. But here we are back. And I am delighted this week to be welcoming Just Jake 91. Jake, I have known for got to be at least 3 years now. I want to
Three
say,
or four at least, yeah.
yeah, I was going to say it was very, very early on to me joining Twitch that I think you and I met. And I've been on Twitch nearly 4 years now. So, yeah, you're probably right with coming up for 4 years.
You knew
Um,
me as a bit boy for a long time.
exactly. So, first off, obviously, I just want to say thank you for agreeing to come on and spend an hour to two just talking shit with me like I normally do. Do you want to introduce yourself to everyone?
I can. I'm Jake, just Jake 91. Been streaming. Wow, I think Resident Evil HD was just released to console.
Wow.
When I first got into it, I remember I did a full playthrough of that, and that got me my affiliate. I'm a 10-time world record holder in Killing Floor 2.
Nice.
I retired from that game officially. I'll get into that later if you want me to.
Okay.
I stream a variety of games now, like Guitar Hero. I do a lot of survival games, a lot of horror games, a lot of just, turn my brain off and random acts of violence games. Helldivers has been on the docket for a few weeks now. Yeah, that's really much. And if you want to know anything in particular, I'm here to answer any questions, man.
And do you know what, guys? Just touching on that, obviously, if anyone does have any questions that they want to ask either of us, please feel free to do so. If you're more comfortable, use the highlight my message feature. I would say don't send them on Discord, right? Because in order then for me to read them, I've got to click out of the pop-up window that I've got the video call on, which then means Jake's camera goes off. So yeah, if you have got any questions, please do pop them in the chat. And I'm sure that, Jake and I will get to them as soon as we can. So when you streaming for so long then, Jake? Because obviously since Resident Evil HD made it to console, that's a long time, that.
Yeah, Xbox One. As soon as I got my Xbox One, and I was like, I can stream directly from this console. I was like, I'm doing it. Let's do
it. And have you always been Twitch? Have you ever dabbled over to one of the other platforms?
No, I've always been Twitch, man. Even when my friends were like, we're going to Kick because that 90% difference or whatever, I'm like, they're not going to last very long. So I was like, I'm going to stick with Twitch where I'm comfortable and I know I have a following. So
yeah,
I've never really done like the whole dual stream thing, or even I have a YouTube channel, but it's basically dead.
Yeah, I mean, I have a YouTube channel, but I use that more for, just basically like an extended version of having my Twitch VODs. Like if there's something that I'm really happy with, like a really good speed run or something like that, then I'll cut that and edit it and stick it on the old YouTube. That was one thing I was going to bring up with you that you just mentioned there. So we might as well touch on the subject now. Is the whole thing of the Kick platform coming around? And like you say, I knew a few people that tried to go over there. With very much similar to what you've just said, about the difference in the revenue. A lot of them now come back over to Twitch. Some of them actually don't even stream anymore. What was it in particular that made you decide against going over to Kick? What made you stay with Twitch when there was the whole sort of decision to be made, if you like?
Well, like the payout difference, I think it was 90-10 or 95-5. I don't know. I can't remember now. But that sounded nice. Like I was like, yeah, that's a great revenue split, But I don't like the way they run things, and I don't like that there's a few particular people that they have on their platform that I can't support.
Yeah.
So that made me go, yeah, Twitch is a little smarter in that regard, so I'm gonna stick over here.
Yeah, and that's completely fair. I remember myself thinking when Kick first became a thing, I think we'd all be lying, if we were to say that we heard the revenue split and we weren't all a little tempted, because it is a big difference, going from a 50-50 split to, like you say there, a 95-5. That's mega difference, especially if you're one of these that, earns a payout every single month. You're talking nearly doubling your stream income. I think, to be honest, what stopped me from going over was just simply the fact that everything that I had was all on Twitch. The community that I built, the people that I knew, all of the people that I would associate myself as being close with, all came
Yeah,
from
that was a
Twitch and they're all on Twitch. So, why? At the time, I sort of saw it as I don't really need to change. It's that whole if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. I didn't want to try to rebrand myself or anything on a different platform. I was like, people already know me here, and I have a huge following. Well, not a huge following, but I have dedicated followers.
Yeah.
And I was like, why would I jump ship and like try to start over?
Yeah,
And
unless obviously a load of people that you knew were going over as well, then, like you just said
yeah,
there, you basically starting from scratch all over again, aren't you? And you got to rebuild everything again.
and I'm happy where I'm at. Like the 50-50, that's whatever. We get paid. It's cool. I do it more for fun. I like hanging out with people and shit in the breeze and um when people come in they drop bits or subs or anything like that. That's fine, but I'm not like depending on it. If that makes sense.
No, 100%. Again, like I say, very much agree with you there that, I could come onto Twitch and not have a single subscriber for 3 months and it genuinely wouldn't bother me. Like you say, I do this for my downtime, I do this for my enjoyment. And, if we're going to make money from it, if we're going to make a little bit of money here and there, then that's a bonus. It's
Yeah, exactly.
like you just said there, people will come in, they'll drop subs, they'll drop bits. It's never expected. And like I say, I don't rely on that happening because I don't feel like I should do, you know?
I think I've only had I set up a sub goal one time and it was hit immediately by my followers, and I was like, I didn't expect that at all because I said it was like 25 subs that was going to do something crazy.
Yeah.
And within like 2 days, someone gifted all the subs, and I was like, I did not expect this at all. I thought it was going to be like a year-long thing. What do I do now? Like,
Yeah, and do you know what? It's nice when stuff like that happens, especially if it's a certain goal that you've got in mind. For me, it's quite
yeah,
heartwarming to see, people banding together to go, right, well, this guy's got a goal in mind, let's help him hit it. I'm there for that kind of shit, do you know what I mean? I love seeing that kind of stuff. Um, you mentioned obviously earlier on that, you got your Xbox One, you realised you could stream directly from it. Is it something that, was streaming something that you've been thinking about doing? Or was it just simply a case of, well, I can do it, let's just give it a go and see what happens?
it was that. It was just like, so I had a YouTube channel for a while where I posted like, I played Call of Duty competitively for a little bit of time. So my YouTube channel was dedicated to that. I just made like videos and stuff of that, like me playing with the team and stuff like that. And then when I saw Xbox had a Twitch integration when it was released, I was like, you know what? Let's do it live. Let's see what happens. And I remember like the day after I connected my Twitch to my Xbox, they said, "Hey, Resident Evil HD Remaster is coming to Xbox One for like $20." And I was like, "Oh, sold! Yeah, getting that." And I streamed it like an entire day, and um, I had one viewer, and then it was like 5 viewers, and then 20 viewers, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And I remember I actually made a YouTube video because my brother was in my chat and he bet me like a challenge. It was like he would drink mustard if I hit 15 viewers, and I hit 45. So there's a
Wow.
YouTube video of my brother drinking mustard.
I'll tell you something. 45 viewers in early days into starting on Twitch. That's damn impressive, that dude.
Thank you, and I wish I had capitalized on it honestly because I think I could have kept going.
Yeah.
But after I hit that, it was like I was working a security job, so it was like I had to work 12-hour shifts or like 14-hour shifts. If someone didn't show up to their shift, I had to be the relief. So it was like I might be there 18 hours, and then I get home and I'm like, I'm gonna play a game and just fall asleep on my couch.
Yeah.
And I didn't capitalize on it. I think the next game I played was Slender the Arrival, and that got a good following too. Like people liked watching me get scared. Because I'm a big dude. When I jump, it's fucking scary. It's funny. But no, it was insane for me that like and it was like it wasn't like a bot or anything. It was everybody was interacting, everybody was chatting, and it was really like a lot to keep up with. And I was like, this is intense. And then I was like, YouTube can just go away now. I have Twitch.
So you mentioned obviously Resident Evil HD remake. I'm assuming from what you've said is that the first Resident Evil game that you streamed?
First one I ever streamed, yeah. And then I streamed Resident Evil 5 for a long time. I speed ran that on Veteran New Game Plus for a while. And I was third place for a longest time with a partner, and then we got knocked down to fifth. But then I streamed like Resident Evil 2 Remaster when it came out. I played that for 24 hours on the stream. I didn't even realize I'd played it for 24 hours.
I think a lot of people when Resident Evil 2 dropped. I remember it was around me first getting into streaming. And I'd go onto Twitch and it was just full of Resident Evil 2 remake streams. Like everybody and their mums wanted to stream that game.
Oh yeah, it was so saturated when it came out, man.
Oh, massively. So, but I feel like that sort of happens with every release of a Resident Evil game. It does get absolutely hammered. It's to the point now where when a Resident Evil title releases, I'll intentionally not stream it for a bit because I think, well, if I do what everybody else is doing, then I don't know. It makes me feel like I'm just copying. I'm just doing it because everybody else is doing it. I think the only one that I have played on release was number 4 remake.
I'm sorry.
Well, see, the thing is with 4 remake. My experience with 4 remake was very much similar to Village in the respect of the first time that I played through it, I thought it was fucking incredible. I could not get enough of it. Now I just can't bring myself back to it, and I really can't explain why. There's not that desire there to play it anymore.
No, I get that. I have unpopular opinions about newer Resident Evil titles, and
don't hold them back. Let's hear them. I'm here for this.
All right. Well, the only thing so I beat Resident Evil 8 because I bought it. I did not enjoy it.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 7, it wasn't the return to the survival horror everybody claims it was. I think they used gross out horror like Outlast, because they used the puke monsters. They weren't really bioweapons. They were vomit that came alive, like the mold.
Yeah.
I think Resident Evil 4 as a whole is overrated. I think it's a babysitting simulator, and I hate Ashley. That opinion alone gets me like crucified on Twitter. Because I'll tell people like Resident Evil 5 did the same damn thing, but you had a partner that could actually defend itself. And people were like, but Ashley did this and this and this, and she was so important to the story. And I said, okay, tell me 5 times you actually let Ashley kidnap. And I said, God damn it.
That's a really interesting spin on it, I definitely agree with what you said there with Resident Evil 5. Because for me, I feel like a lot of people are very quick to slate that game. And I really enjoyed 5. I thought 5 was really good. Mainly because it was the first proper one that had the online multiplayer functionality. Obviously, you had it with Outbreak, but that was PlayStation 2.
The PS2 online servers were crap. So.
Yeah, they were awful. I don't even think I ever attempted to to play a game online with the PlayStation 2. But you see that in a lot of things, the same thing that people will praise with one installment, they're then very quick to insult with another. And it's like, well, they're the same thing.
It's
It's
the
just...
exact same
And I get it, something that you said there about, you're very quick to get destroyed on Twitter and places like that when you state your opinion of these games. That for me is just really sad, because at the end of the day, if you can't have two people that have conflicting opinions on something and not be able to sit there and talk about it, they have to, start getting to the point where they're degrading or they start tearing somebody apart. It's just like, well, what are you doing? Why are you even having a debate if you can't handle somebody debating with you?
Yeah, it's just not even like, it's not like I'm attacking you personally. I'm just saying this is what I didn't like about this. Tell me what I'm wrong about, like that kind of thing. And yeah, people like even people we used to watch on Twitch came at me for my Resident Evil 4 opinions. That certain group of people.
Yeah, no names needed.
not name dropping here today.
Well, the thing, I always said there was something about Resident Evil 4 original that I didn't like, and I think for me it was the whole fact that for me was when they completely changed the whole mantra of a Resident Evil game. When it became more action based than the survival horror that we all knew and loved. And I'll hold my hands up, since the remake, and then went back to the original, and I found I was able to enjoy it more. I did genuinely enjoy playing it. The original on 4 now, that's something that I play more in my own time. Like, it's not really something that I stream often. Like, every 6 to 12 months, I might just randomly sit there and go, do you know what? I'm going to do a Resident Evil 4 new game professional play. Just because I can, just because I'm a little bit bored and I want to change things up a little bit. But generally speaking, I'll play that in my own time. Can you remember what the first Resident Evil game that you played was? Not necessarily streamed, the first one that you actually played.
I still have the game. Resident Evil Director's Cut, PlayStation. I still have it.
Wow, I bet that's worth a few quid now.
Maybe, I don't know. I also have my original copy of Resident Evil 2, with the pamphlet in it that you could like send in to be a part of the movie. And then I also have a copy of Resident Evil 3. Unfortunately, that one doesn't work. I have to get the disc fixed.
Yeah.
But I do have all the copies still, and I still have Outbreak File 1 and Code Veronica somewhere.
See, unfortunately, the only physical copies that I now own, because I was that kind of kid, I did not look after my games back in the day, which I now really regret, obviously, but, hey ho. The only ones that I own the physical copy for is the Dreamcast version of Code Veronica, and that was actually gifted to me by somebody in the community. I think we were talking about me potentially doing speedruns from original hardware, and he said, look, I've got the Japanese copy of Code Veronica. I can send it to you because I never play it. And the other one that I've got is the GameCube version of Resident Evil 4. I was actually looking for, the original trilogy on the PlayStation so that I can stick them on this display there in the background. And you're looking at between £40 to £50. So that's what, between $50 to $60 for you guys?
Yeah, just
give or take. So yeah, the price of them these days. Don't get me wrong, it's affordable. I'm just sort of weighing up. Well, can I justify spending that kind of money on a game that's literally just going to sit there and never be touched? Because anything that goes on there, with the exception of the Game of Thrones Cluedo, that's gone on there just to fill some space for the time being. But any games that go on there, they are, strictly display only. And it's just weighing up whether or not it's worth spending that kind of money for something like that.
No, totally.
So you said obviously it was Director's Cut that you played, the very first one. What were your thoughts? What did you think of Director's Cut?
Director's Cut, so being it's the only version of Resident Evil 1 I've played until the HD, I enjoyed the hell out of it. especially the arranged mode.
Hmm.
Because the arranged mode, like after I beat it, with Jill, like the easy difficulty, and then went with Chris for that hard difficulty.
Yeah.
I went with Jill arranged, and I was like, this is insane because the boxes aren't connected, everything is moved, and I was like, this is a whole new level of challenge because you have to know exactly where you're gonna put stuff after you find it because everything's moved, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, so it was just like a matter of, okay, I have the plant chemical now that I found where, like, across the mansion where it wasn't in my original playthrough, and I put it in this box. Okay, I'm gonna go to this box and use it now. Nope, it's not here. Cool. Let me go back and grab that. So it was like it was a different ballpark for me compared to games I played in the past. Like RPGs and stuff like that on my PlayStation.
Yeah.
But that was like the first survival horror game I'd ever played, and I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah, I remember the first time I attempted the arrange mode. Didn't attempt it on the original. I can't remember why. I think I maybe did try it years back and just really struggled with it and never went back to it. But then, obviously, after I started streaming, somebody suggested doing the arrange mode, and I thought, oh yeah, I'd completely forgotten about that. And I went back
That's a
to
new
it.
kind of beast.
Yeah, not 100%. Because, like you just sort of said there, I'm going to places thinking, right, I need to go and get this particular key item. Oh, wait, what? Why is it not here? Where's it gone? What is this? And it was definitely, like you say, I don't want to say a different game, but I think the best way to put it is it was a way to enjoy the game all over again from scratch
Definitely.
without actually doing so. It's funny because my first one played was actually Resident Evil 2. And I remember I started the game off. I think I had Claire's disc in. I got to Kendo's shop, and obviously all the zombies broke through the window and killed Kendo. At that particular point in my life, I don't think I'd ever shat myself so much in my life. And I dived to the PlayStation and turned the PlayStation off because I was absolutely terrified. I mean, bearing in mind I was about 9 years old or something like that, so I think we can give a bit of leeway. But no, I remember, experiencing the Resident Evil series for the first time. And I think what made it so successful and so popular was, at least I can't remember it anyway. Um, I don't think there was anything quite like it in the market at the time.
No, it was an original idea. It coined the phrase survival horror.
Oh, 100%.
But I remember, like, the reason I played the first Resident Evil, we got it by mistake. We had bought a PlayStation and like a bag of like a CD case of games with like the jewel cases, and my dad opened it. It was like the original Crash Bandicoot. My dad opened that up, and under the Crash Bandicoot disc was Resident Evil Director's Cut.
Oh,
So
wow.
my dad was like, "What is this?" And I didn't even know, and I was like, "Cool, let's see what happens." And my dad put it in, and then he was like, "You're never playing this," and I was like, "Yes, I am." And I waited till he went to bed, and I played it, and I was like, "Cool, nightmares. All right." But I remember like the first zombie you run into, and Barry just shatters its head with like a pistol, like that Magnum. I was like, I had never seen anything like that in a video game up to that point, and I was blown away. I was like, that's insane. I like it.
If you had to say, and I know some people find this difficult, for me it's easy, because there's only one that comes to mind whenever this question gets asked. If you had to say, though, what would your favourite Resident Evil game be and why?
Resident Evil Outbreak, File
1. Okay. I don't think I've ever actually had anybody say Outbreak before. So why Outbreak?
Because it was totally different. The inventory management was way harder because you only had the 4 slots unless you played the Nico, I think it was. That had the backpack. Then like the whole, you're not one of the main characters now. You're just a random person trying to get out.
Yeah.
And I liked that point of view. And I was like, because like taking down Umbrella, cool. Play that with Leon and Jill and all those guys. That's fine. But being a random civilian that's just caught in the midst of everything, that's a whole new perspective that I didn't think would happen. So I was like, this is absolutely amazing. I remember playing it solo for the first time. And I was the plumber because he can make a flamethrower out of a bug spray and a lighter. And, and I remember, like, I sat there for hours on, like, one of the scenarios. I was like, this feels like original Resident Evil, except there were a few things. Like, you can bash down doors if you didn't have the key or whatever.
Yeah.
New items, new puzzles, new enemies. I was like, this feels awesome. This feels like they're actually trying to move Resident Evil in a really good direction. And 4 happened.
No, I mean, that's, it's a very, very fair point. I completely agree with you in the fact that Outbreak was different to anything that they'd ever done before. And that, what you just said there about being able to bash down doors, I thought that was excellent, because one of the things that used to frustrate me with the Resident Evil game is you're playing as, let's say, Leon, and you're running around the RPD, and you come to a door and you can't open it because it doesn't have the correct key. I'm like, dude, you've got a 12 gauge shotgun. What is stopping you opening that door? So then, like you say, to finally be able to do that, it was like, right, okay, this is now being a little bit more realistic. I do remember struggling a lot with Outbreak. I think especially on the PlayStation 2 version when it first came out. Obviously now we've got the cracked emulated version, where you can actually connect with people and you can play with friends. And I think that's awesome. I'd love to be able to do that.
I would love to. I just don't know how to.
Yeah, that's the difficulty that I get. Whenever I'm available to do it, it seems like nobody else that owns it is, or someone's available, but then they don't have it, and then you've got to try and talk them through setting it up and whatnot. And I just got to a stage where I just thought, you know what, I can't be bothered trying anymore. So I was putting in a load of effort to try and arrange games that it just, it wasn't happening, and I just gave up on the idea in the end. I thought, this is never going to happen.
I get that. It's like us when we were setting up Operation Raccoon City that day.
Oh god, yeah, that looked like it was going down the path fast.
I had to find all the games for Windows Live files.
But credit to us both. We persisted and we finally got it going. And we're gonna have to do that again because that was such a blast.
I made a Google Doc for the games for Windows Live files too, in case anybody wants them. I went and scavenged them, put them all together for you.
No, I remember that day actually, because I thought, yeah, we'll get through a couple of levels and then just sort of see where the day takes us. And then at every single point, because I think I'd said to you, look, I'll play a couple of levels and then we'll see where we're at. And then every time you said, are we carrying on? Do you need to get going? I'm like, no, we're carrying on. We're carrying on. I'm enjoying this far too much. Especially the bit at the end when obviously we'd said, we weren't going to tell each other, are we going to be good? Are we going to be evil? And we ended up picking opposing sides and going against each other. That was a brilliant way to end it. Who won that one, by the way? I forget. I've got a feeling I know how you're going to answer this one, but I've asked what your favourite one is. Let's go the complete opposite end. Least enjoyed.
That's actually hard for me, because I don't like 4, but I don't like 7 at all. Like I've already gone over the points I don't like about 4. 7, it's just they tried so hard to go back to what we liked about Resident Evil. I feel that it didn't work.
Yeah.
And like I said, it wasn't like scary or horror-ish. It was like gross out horror. Like I don't know if you've ever played Outlast or Outlast 2. It's a lot of just gross images.
Yeah.
And it's passed off as horror. Or they made the game feel difficult, but really what it was wasting your time. Like it would be like, you have this key, now run all the way back to the 2nd floor of the main house. Okay, now you got a key card. Now run all the way back to where you just were. So it wasn't difficult. It just took a lot of time, so it made it feel difficult.
Yeah.
And that to me is like you put an aspect in a game that I'm supposed to have fun in and it doesn't feel fun. That's all about it's not fun.
Yeah.
So like it's just like Resident Evil 8 for me. I beat it because I bought it. I beat it because I owned it, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna not complete it. And so 7, I think, would be like my least favorite.
Okay. And do you know what? I'm really glad that you raised that point about, you get a key, use that key, and then it's giving you something that's for the complete opposite end of the map, and, all the continuous back and forth. Because a lot of the time, it's no secret that Code Veronica's my favourite.
Right.
A lot of the time when somebody says to me that they don't enjoy it, I'll say, well, what is it, that you maybe didn't like? What was it that makes you not enjoy the game? And that's the thing that they'll say is, there was a lot of back and forth, there was a lot of going from one place to the other, blah, blah, blah. But then these same people, like you say, Seven, Village, the more recent ones, they'll absolutely sing their praises. And I think, well, why is that any different?
Exactly.
I mean,
And
a lot of people
I
will
felt
say...
like... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. A lot of people say that with Code Veronica, that, you had to go back and forth and you had to go from here to there and all this kind of thing. But what I find is it's people that don't necessarily know the game too well. Whereas, don't get me wrong, even doing everything optimally, yeah, there is some back and forth. Yeah, there's recovering areas that you've already visited, but not to the degree that people make out.
No, and with like 7 and 8, once you clear an area of enemies, that's it. That area's clear. With Resident Evil Code Veronica, it's like, okay, I cleared that area, but what if something else is there now?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of a fear of the unknown in that. You know what I mean? Whereas like Resident Evil 7, it's like, oh, cool, I used like the Wesker whatever gun, the Albert 3 something whatever. I can't remember what it was. Then I killed everything in the house. I don't have to worry about anything in there anymore. I could loot the place. But in like Code Veronica, when you're Claire and like you have the crossbow and like those dual pistols run out of ammo quick because you're depending on them for heavy monsters.
Yeah.
And then it's like I have a crossbow. What if there's a liquor in there when you're going back? So because you're not like enemies respawn in Code Veronica. It was a lot of, or I don't know if they respawn, but sometimes there would be different enemies in an area.
Yeah, so like obviously when you're coming up to the first house, you go up that corridor, it's filled with zombies. You kill them, but then when you've got to go back to the house because you've just done the training facility, all of a sudden you've got bandit snatchers there now. Like you've just rightly said there, it's not a case of you clear one area out and then you're fine. You're going to come back to it and there's going to be something else there waiting for you. And 9 times out of 10, something that was a lot more difficult to get past as well.
So it's like to me, it feels like there's more strategy to it. Like there's got to be more planning, because when that happens for the first time, you come back and there's a stronger enemy there. You're like, shit, okay. And then you're thinking, well, I got to go back here. What if that happens here?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of like planning ahead. But in 7, it's like you clear one area, you go back, and like, oh, it's still empty. Cool, that happens. And same with 8, like you kill all the werewolf things or whatever in the village. You can loot the entire village and not worry.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no substance, I guess. Like there was no real challenge in those games for me. It was like, yeah, I spent a lot of ammo killing everything, but I recovered all of it because I killed everything.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like
yeah, and I think with Village for me, very similar to what you said there about 7. I played it for a while. And I simply did it because I owned it. I didn't actually have to pay anything originally for that game because the first copy that I owned was on console, but that was bought for me. I didn't actually pay for it. And I want to say that it was the deluxe edition. I can't remember what entirely was different. I think, to be honest with you, it was just a couple of gun charms, which turned out to be completely useless, so you didn't actually get much extra for it anyway. And then I got the PC version, one, because it was cheap, and and 2 because somebody wanted to race me.
Right.
And Village wasn't one that I was massively up on. I was on a really good run of performances with races at the time, and I just thought, yeah, let's give it a go. I'll hold my hands up. I got my ass handed to me. I mean, I lost and lost that. Sorry, tell the likes. I think I've raced 2 different people on Village, and the first time I actually won. Despite me not really knowing too much about it, but it was New Game Plus. You know what New Game Plus for Village is like. Get the stake, get
Yeah.
the unlimited ammo. You are cruising through that game. Like, you are
You're just gonna tear
cruising
through
through.
it.
It wasn't all that hard. Once I'd, watched a couple of videos, kind of got an idea of the routing, there wasn't too much challenge to it from that.
No.
Don't get me wrong, I feel the first time that I played through it, storyline wise, I thought the ending of the story was interesting. I did not see that coming. I don't think very many people did.
Spoiler alert.
I think the problem for me then was, and this is the reason why I went from thinking it was so good to me thinking, actually, is it? I think once you're over that initial shock of the twist ending, you then go back to it, and without that, there isn't an awful lot. Don't get me wrong, it's not. I wouldn't say it's a failure. There are some decent points to the game. I just don't feel it's as good as what people like to make out or pretend that it is.
My my whole thing with like Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 8 now is like, if they didn't call it Resident Evil just because they wanted to keep the series going, I
Yeah.
probably would have liked them more. Like, if they were a completely different game or a completely different series starting, I probably would have thought this is really fun. But I got really critical because it's called Resident Evil.
Yeah.
And I'm really critical about the things I enjoy, like Silent Hill, Resident Evil, all that stuff. So
Yeah, and you know what? That's how I take the movies. Um, standalone standalone films in their own right. Um, the Paul Anderson films, they're all right, apart from the last one, because the last one just got stupid.
and the love story with Nemesis.
Yeah, I think films in their own right, they're good. Resident Evil films, eh. And then you come to Welcome to Raccoon City. Oh,
Yeah.
like
I
that,
wasn't a
that's
huge fan of Welcome to Raccoon City, but I didn't bash it. Like, it was not bad, but it wasn't like the greatest thing in the world like everybody thought it was good. Like,
no 100%. Leighton in the chat there. Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, Code Veronica, fine. Resident Evil 4 onwards, this should have been a new franchise. And I think
fun
that's a
fact,
really good point.
RE4 was supposed to be a Devil May Cry style game.
Yeah,
So
I was just about to go that route myself then.
yeah, so because we have RE4, we have Devil May Cry. So
I think, I don't know how true this is, but from what I heard, I think was it the Resident Evil 4 was the initial pitch for Devil May Cry, or the other way round, like Devil May Cry being the original pitch for Resident Evil 4. I can't remember which way around it went now.
basically, it was supposed to be Leon playing the role of the main character in Devil May Cry. Like, it was going to have the same combat style and everything of Devil May Cry, but you were going to be Leon. And it wouldn't be like demons or anything. It would be zombies and like giant creatures. Yeah. But it was going to be Devil May Cry style game as RE4.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of intrigued with that concept.
I think if you dig deep enough, you can actually find like video of it. I remember seeing one a while ago, and I was like, what? Like, I was like, I'm glad we didn't get that, but because it would have been like a shock, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Resident Evil 4 buying weapons, finding coins, etc. is arcade. Yeah, totally agree. Like, we were sort of touching on this ourselves earlier. Is it was Resident Evil 4 that completely changed the whole mantra of Resident Evil. Like you just rightly said there, being able to find some random dude and purchase, your weapons. That's
and upgrade them and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly, and that's not what the original idea of Resident Evil was, you were hoping to find these things, and you were hoping to find them as soon as bloody possible.
Yeah.
To go from that to, okay, you've got this dude here, when you get to a certain section, he's going to sell you a Magnum. Like, well, what? That's completely different to what we're used to.
You want a new pistol? Cool. He's got 8 of them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, what was all that about? Resident Evil 9.
Just buy the red 9. You're fine.
Resident Evil 9 will be in space next with laser eyes.
Wester's gonna come back. He's gonna have a clone army.
Oh, do you know what? I keep hearing that from people, and I'm just like, no, please don't. Like,
we blew up his head in a volcano with a rocket launcher. Let it happen.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong, Wesker is by far my favourite Resident Evil villain, but just let it go. Right? He's gone. He's dead. I think with that, I remember hearing, right, this is going to absolutely blow your mind, but I was in a stream one time, and the topic of conversation was Resident Evil villains. Somebody in there, genuinely, and they weren't trolling, they weren't taking the mick or anything like that, trying to have a laugh. This was a genuine opinion that they stated, that Nikolai is the true evil villain of the Resident Evil series. And I'm like, dude.
He was an asshole. You know, like, he was a prick, but he wasn't like Wesker.
No. He was just, like you say, he was just an evil guy trying to get rich. Wesker was genuinely trying to fucking pollute the world. They're not on the same, they're not even in the same book, never mind on the same page. Resident Evil was realistic, like you came across weapons and ammo scattered around as though they were dropped or left in a hurry. Felt real, gave you a sense of panic, realism, like society broke down. Yeah, exactly that. That is what Resident Evil was all about. Not, well, you're running low on ammo? Here, buy some more. And see what gets me with that? You come across this guy that's got this seemingly endless supply of weapons and ammo while you're in the middle of a big bio outbreak crisis like that. You're fucking killing the guy and taking it all. You're not paying him.
Hell yeah, I am.
That guy goes down and he goes down hard.
He's way too trusting, bro. Because I'm gonna come in there and go, oh, dude, look at all. I'm taking all of this. It's mine now.
Yeah, like you see all of that behind you. I think the best example of it being is RE4. You're on your way to fight El Gigante. Sorry. What's it called now? The Big Fish.
Delago?
Belago, that's it. And in the original, you go to some underground hutch, and you can literally see this cabin that the merchant's in, and he's got like machine guns, rocket launchers, all pasted up on the wall. And you're walking away with a TMP. No.
Yeah.
No, you're not. Let's be real here.
I'm going to find a cart and drag everything out of there with me. And
exactly.
If I need it, I have it.
Now, obviously, a lot of the time in these episodes, I will talk a lot about Resident Evil because, it's kind of like the community that we've got. It's what we all like. Let's take Resident Evil out of the equation. Right? You're never allowed to play Resident Evil again. Is there a series of games that you would, how do I put this, that would fill the void of Resident Evil? Is there any other computer game series that you're as into as you are Resident Evil?
Silent Hill.
Ooh. Now, I always say this, right? Don't get me wrong, I'm not one of these people that's like, oh, you like Silent Hill? Oh, no. Not my cup of tea. I tried the first one, couldn't get into it.
First one's jank as shit.
I think I got to the puzzle with the piano.
Yep.
I don't think I was ever able to figure that out. I just got sick of trying to work it out, and I just put it down and went back to it.
Not to put you I don't even not to make you sound like not to be like, well, as a matter of fact, um, the reason people always got stuck on that piano puzzle because it happened to me too until I really like read through the riddle. It was silent birds on a line.
Hmm.
The keys that don't play a note were the keys you were supposed to hit.
Say that again.
And I had to read through the riddle like 800 times before I was like, oh my god. And then I was like, and then the thing fell off the wall. I was like, I win.
Resident Evil needs to go back to the old storyline of bio companies made a virus that leads to zombies as a result, but Resident Evil 4 onwards, people are like possessed, or demons, or spiritual, or something. That sort of stuff isn't caused by diseases, paranormal, etc., which is that. Yeah, you know, everything about Resident Evil 4 onwards took, or I feel anyway, this, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say this and claim that this is fact. This is just my opinion. But it took away from what made Resident Evil in the first place. And you just basically laid it all out like that. You know, that is what Resident Evil was. It was almost as if in the first three, it wasn't done deliberately per se, or maybe not deliberately on the scale of what it was. You know, like you say, it was a leaks virus, not some cult that's trying to take over the world, or
Right.
you know, Wesker with
Vampires.
his, yeah, exactly. You know, three vampire girls that can turn themselves into bugs and then like re-emerge. Like, what the fuck went on there? What was that?
As soon as I killed my first werewolf, I'm like, oh my god, no.
There's so much they can add in between 1, 2, 3 and Code Veronica. Do you know what? Code Veronica keeps coming up, right? So I'm going to ask you, because it was going to come up at some point in this conversation anyway. Are we getting Code Veronica remake?
Maybe.
Okay.
Personally, I would love to see an Outbreak remake because I feel like
Yeah.
it would do way better now than it did in the past.
With the current technology and the current connectivity that we've got now, you do Outbreak again. I think it's a huge hit. With the amount of people that you know have gone to this cracked version of the emulator to be able to play the original one online with friends, if you do that again with up-to-date graphics, you make it in the Resident Evil engine with proper connectivity where you can have, you know, 3 or 4 of yous all at the same time, all on the go. I think that takes off.
Yeah. And it's so good. Like it would be so fun to see like a Resident Evil 4 or I'm sorry, Resident Evil Outbreak remake on like I said, the Resident Evil engine with like, you know, the same restricted inventory, the same scenarios, the same characters even. Because it's like I said, it was just like random people that were caught in the midst of it trying to get out. I would love to see that.
Yeah, I think what I liked with the Outbreak character selection is that you literally could replay the same scenarios with the same characters because each one of them had something different and something unique that you would want. Like you had a guy that can fix stuff, like you say, you know, he was able to make a blowtorch out of bug spray and a lighter. You know, you've got the woman who was, I think she had like some sort of medical kit where she could carry a lot more healing items than what the other people could. There was a woman that had extended inventory. Two of the guys, I think it was Kevin, I want to say the guy's name was Mark, the two guys that were connected to RPD, and they were the only ones that actually started with a weapon, which made a lot of sense. The policeman, you know, it makes sense
like,
that they start with a gun.
Because Kevin had a holster, he could holster another pistol. Like it was an extra inventory slot for a handgun.
If they remade Outbreak now, it would be huge. Resident Evil Online, co-op mode, play with your friends, etc. And every 3 months of DLC add-on to extend the story. Yeah, brilliant idea. You know, I would love to see that.
I would pay like cash money right now to get that project started. Like,
yeah, oh mate, I'd be right there with you. The problem is based on the way that Resident Evil 4 remake ended. I can only assume that they're going straight to Resident Evil 5. And see, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't feel like 5 needs a remake, or certainly not right now.
Right.
Whereas I do, I believe games like Outbreak and Code Veronica would benefit from a remake a damn sight more than what Resident Evil 5 would.
I do want to address an elephant in the room.
Okay.
I have an eye patch. I'm going blind in my left eye. Because when I was a young, dumb kid, I got into some scrapes, and one of them didn't end so well. I got optical nerve damage, so it's starting to detach. They told me there's a surgery they can do, but I'm still kind of weighing my options because I've had God knows how many surgeries at this point, and I'm just like I don't want to be asleep anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to address that real quick. I didn't know if you were itching to know.
I was tempted to ask, but no, knowing what you're like, knowing you as well as I do, my assumption on it was, do you know what? If it's something that he wants to, if he wants to speak about it, it's going to be brought up at some point.
I just kept my eye on the prize.
I mean, I remember you. Was it last week? I think it might have been last week. You were telling me about it. There is some sort of surgery that they can give you, and you were a bit unsure about it. But there's only. Did you say there was only like a 50% chance of success or something like that?
Yes, there's a 50% success rate, and I was like, man, I don't know, because it's been like 2.5 weeks that my eyes like been. It's not completely out, but it's blurry enough to the point that like my right eye tries to compensate.
Yeah.
And if I don't have the eye patch on, it really messes with my vision. So just to have the right eye exposed, I'm fine. So I'm like, well, I'm already adjusted, kind of like the depth perception was a little weird for the first few days, but I'm over that.
Yeah.
The only thing is, like, I have a literal blind side now. I don't have any left side peripheral. So I gotta, like, people are talking to me. I do like a complete 180 from my right side.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing a turn on a catwalk.
Well, what are those? This is probably going to sound like a really dumb sort of question, right? But what is it like having to make adjustments like that? Because for me, like me just simply doing that now, I'd be like, if I had to get used to being like that forever, I'd really struggle with that. How did you manage to adapt like so quickly?
I had to. It was just a matter of I had to, and like making yourself do something just because you had it's a challenge.
Yeah,
it's different than like, okay, this has to happen. Like to me, it was just like I had to, and because when I woke up the day it was starting to blur, I was like, man, there's something in my eye, and I washed it out, and then I was like, no, it's still blurry. So that's when I originally put the eye patch on, and then I waited a day, took it off, and I was like, it's still blurry, and I was like, oh yeah, they told me it's gonna go out. The only thing that was really hard to get used to was the depth perception, like walking around because you don't know how far things are. And I missed a few steps here and there the first couple of days. Didn't fall or hurt myself, but I did trip like I was drunk. And then reaching for something on my desk, I was knocking stuff over all the time. But now I got used to it, and like I said, it was just a matter of I told myself you have to. Like I just basically made myself mentally like I have to do this if I'm gonna survive.
I mean that's credit to you. Being able to look at it in that way, or well, this has to happen. This is something that I have to do. For me personally, I think that says a lot about you as a character. There's plenty of people that given news like that would, they would spend as long as you spend adjusting, just simply feeling sorry for themselves. So figuratively speaking, obviously, but hats off to you for that. That's incredible that you've been able to do that so quickly.
Something I've always told myself, and my dad kind of ran with the same philosophy, is you got to play the hand you're dealt, but the cards aren't stacked against you.
Yeah.
So if it's something that has to change it. If it's something that you have to do it. And this was one of those things where I was like, this has to happen. So
Yeah,
Like I said, the cards aren't stacked against me. I'm gonna move on. Like, and luckily, gaming has no effect over this eye because when you're looking at a monitor, depth perception doesn't matter. So,
you know what, that was going to be my next question as well. You know, does it sort of impact on your gaming? Because I'd kind of made an assumption based on something that you said earlier, which you know we might as well bring up now because I'm already kind of doing it anyway. You know, you mentioned about Killing Floor and that you've officially retired from that now.
yep.
What's made you make that decision?
Well, it was a fun game. Like, let me just to make sure I got my numbers right. Let me see how many hours I have in it on PC. Sorry here.
What?
So I have 380 hours on PC, and I had 900 hours on console.
Wow.
So 1,200 hours of my life is dedicated to Killing Floor 2. I'm not getting that back. Whatever. That was a fun game. And not to sound like a braggart. Like after my 10th world record, it was actually it. Like after I took so many records, I was like, this isn't like it's not one of those games where I can turn it on because I want to anymore. It's because I feel like I have to.
Yeah.
Like I turned it into a job and I kind of lost some fun. And that's sad for me, but Killing Floor 3 is on its way. I can wait for that one. But the final nail in the coffin for me was when I did the sub goal for 25 subs. The caveat was if we hit 25 subs, I'll do the max wave in Killing Floor 2. The max wave in Killing Floor 2 endless mode is wave 254.
Yeah.
After that, the game just says victory, kicks you to the main menu. So I've only done that once, and when I did it the first time, it took me 26 hours.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, I'm set up to do it again, whatever. And first attempt, I wasn't prepared. Like it was a spur of the moment. I was sitting here and I got the last sub, and I was like, cool, we'll start now. And I got tired, so I was like, I'm not really sorry, guys. I'm gonna finish. I'll do it tomorrow. And I got out here the next day, and I only took one break. I paused the game, ended stream, but I didn't change anything. I came back and started to do it again, and the game crashed. And I was like, that sucks, because I was 16 hours.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's fine, these things happen. The Steam had an update that day, might have had something to do with it, whatever. And then on the third attempt, I was at wave 185 or 165. I had less than 100 waves to go. I was 21 hours in. And I was like, hey, my game's getting kind of choppy. I'm going to go to my graphics settings real quick, turn down some of the particle effects, because the blood stays on the ground in the game.
Yeah.
So I was like, if I turn down the particle effects, maybe, you can turn down the gore, and maybe that'll clear up some of my choppiness. We'll be fine. Paused the game, scrolled over to the options menu, and the game crashed again.
Oh, Jesus.
And I was like, that was 21 hours of me sitting here. I didn't pause that time. I was just here for 21 hours. And I was like, I think I'm done. And everybody in my stream was looking at me because I sat here in silence for 10 minutes. I was like, I can't believe that just happened.
Yeah.
And I just took my headset off. I muted my headset, took it off, walked away. Stream's still going. I came back, and everybody in my chat was like, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine, but I'm done. And everybody in my chat, you have to sub and think, no, we completely understand, because this isn't the first time it's crashed on you after you've made it so far. We understand you're a little upset. If you want to stop playing, stop playing. You made it, this far twice. We're good. And then the whole thing in my head where it's I'm not enjoying the game anymore. It feels more like a chore. Yeah. So I was like, it's a good time to call it quits here, and I retired from it.
And do you know what? I can completely understand that kind of you're looking at it that way. I've had that same problem myself when it comes to speedrunning. I think once something gets to a stage where, to quote you directly, when it starts to feel more like a chore than something you're enjoying, then it is time to walk away from it, because, at the end of the day, we need to enjoy what we're doing. Otherwise, personally speaking, I think when you sat there watching somebody and they're doing something more out of a sense of obligation as opposed to a sense of want, I think you can really tell the difference. And I've had people tell me before, that when I start getting burnt out with speedrunning, but I continue to do it anyway because I feel like that's what people want to see, there's a huge difference between me doing that and me going, right, you know what, I really want this. I want to go for, whether it's called Veronica, whether it's Resident Evil 3, whatever it is. Once you hit that stage where you sort of in autopilot and you're just doing it anyway, that's where you need to stop, because it's just not not as, I want to say, as nice for the people that come to watch it to witness that kind of thing. If you can put your heart and soul into it because you genuinely want to, fantastic. I'm all for that. When it gets to a stage where you can't, that's where you've got to stop.
And people can tell when you're burnt out. And if they come into your stream and they notice you're burnt out, they're not gonna hang out. You know what I mean?
No, of course.
Like, it's just gonna be like, for me, I was like hour 20 of that 21 hour, I was like sitting here just like, okay, finish up, and then the game crashed. I was like, I'm done.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Like, how can you expect people to come and watch you do something and enjoy themselves when you're not enjoying yourself doing it in the first place?
Yeah, and like you can't expect people to get hyped if you're not hyped.
No, exactly. It has to start with you, and I feel like that that is where it will start most of the time. Once people can see you really getting into something, you're getting hyped up about something, they'll be right there with you. You start getting excited. Sorry, completely lost my train of thought. You start getting excited about what you're doing and the results that you're getting, and people get excited for you. But when you're half-assing it, then people are half-assed. Like, well, what's the point in trying to make this seem better when he's clearly not bothered himself?
Yeah, and that's why like I started branching out now. Like I do the whole variety thing. Helldivers 2, that's been a godsend, honestly. I enjoy the hell out of that game. You get a chance to get Helldivers 2. I will play that with you for like 20 hours. I don't care. When I bought it, I was like, yeah, my friend's got it. I'll play it for a few hours. And then I looked at the time. I was like, I've played this for 11 hours now. But it fills the void that Killing Floor 2 took. Is it like Killing Floor 2? When I first started playing it was one of those games where like, oh cool, turn my brain off, kill everything.
Yeah.
Helldivers 2 filled that void again, because there are objectives and whatnot, but it's still like survival against like waves of enemies. So I was like, I can do this. Like I've trained for this.
Do you know what? I think when sort of going back to what you were saying there about how you've gone from Killing Floor to doing a variety of things and stuff like that. I find when you do that, it can be really refreshing, not only for you as a streamer, but for the people that are watching you as well. I've had it said to me several times over this last month or two during this mini comeback, if you will. Because obviously I don't just simply stick to one certain thing anymore. I won't just. It's not all constant speedruns.
Right.
I'll throw randos in there every now and again. I'll throw a different game in there. A few different people have said to me, it's so refreshing to see you now just simply doing what you want to do, and that's why. Obviously, you've known me for a long time. There was a point where, come a Monday, my entire schedule for the week was out. And that was every single week on week without failure. And I did everything that I could to stick to it. Whereas these days, I'll put a schedule out maybe once every 3 weeks, once every 4 weeks, simply because there's times where, I do try and have my set days, because a lot of it's around availability as well. I've got nowhere near as much freedom to be able to just go, right, fuck it, I'm going to stream for a few hours like what I used to. But a lot of the time, generally speaking, I'll do Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and then at least one over the weekend. And I'm on my way home from work Tuesday, I'm sat on the bus, I'm like 20 minutes from walking through my front door, and I genuinely have no idea what I'm going to go on and stream, because I don't want to plan it out like that anymore, because I feel once I start doing it, that's where the sense of obligation is going to fit in again. So a lot of
It's
the
gonna
time
feel like a
now,
job.
exactly. So a lot of the time now, I'll turn my PC on, I'll sit down and I'll think, right, what do I want to play today? And then I'll just run with it. Like for the majority of today, I was actually going to, before obviously we came on to do the podcast, I was actually going to go back to the Nuzlocke attempt on Pokemon Crystal. And it was only, I think I was literally just about booting up OBS. And because I've been playing Let's Go Pikachu on the Switch today, I thought, well, I don't want to stream Pokemon now. You know, I've been playing Pokemon in my
Right.
time. I don't want to go and stream it. That's why I ended up going back with Bioland, because I thought, yeah, do you know what? I enjoyed Resident Evil 1 with it. I enjoyed the A side on Resident Evil 2. Yeah, sack it. You know, we'll do the B side of Bioland today. Um, and just having that sort of sense of freedom there where, you know, I can just go, right, fuck it, what do I want to do? Let's have a look. You look good, let's go with you. Instead of
Yeah.
thinking, right, no, it's Tuesday, I have to do this, or it's Wednesday, I have to do that. It's so much better. And I enjoy it a hell of a lot more than what I used to.
Like I have 2 days a week that I do have like scheduled things. That's because I run with a community now. We're called the Goofy Guardians.
Yeah.
And we have 2 days a week, Thursdays and Saturdays. Thursdays, it's usually like Pal World, or it's like some other good game that everybody in the community can get into.
Yeah.
Saturdays, we do modded Minecraft. And it's just a day for us all to get together and like just kind of bullshit and hang out. But the rest of the week, it's like we like I'll just if I wake up if I woke up today, I went to work, I came home, and I'm like, I gotta do the podcast here with Liam. It's gonna be fun. And then later on tonight, maybe I'll do a crowd control Resident Evil 2 remake. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of like I'll look at my Steam library and go, "You sound fun. Let's go."
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what I found myself doing, and I just feel I feel a hell of a lot better with it. Like I say, I've had people come to me and say, you know, it's a lot more. You seem a lot more relaxed. You seem a lot more chilled out with it. And I think you hit the nail on the head earlier on, is because it doesn't feel like a chore anymore. It doesn't feel like a job anymore. Like if I'd put a schedule out and, you know, I had an emergency and I had to, you know, I could not stream. Like it was impossible for me to stream. I used to feel ridiculously guilty about that. Like almost to a sense where I'm like, I shouldn't be not streaming. Whereas these days, if I don't want to go live, like if I'm not in the right frame of mind, or I'm tired from work or anything at all like that, then I just won't fucking do it. You know, I won't try and force my way through it anymore, because similar to what we were saying before about being burnt out, there's a huge difference, and I feel like people can tell.
Yeah, it's like when people come in, they see that you're like, just kind of sitting here going through it, like going through the motions of doing the game or playing what you're playing. It's not as exciting for anybody. So,
No,
like
exactly.
I know I have people that they followed me because I played Killing Floor 2. Like, and I've had them come in my chat, hey, where's Killing Floor? Gone. Like I won't say it like that. I was like, hey, I don't play that anymore. We're moving on to different things. Killing Floor 3 is on the way. Just hang out for that.
Yeah.
Then they'll go, well, I just wanted to watch you play Killing Floor. And I said, you don't want to watch me. You just want to watch Killing Floor. You can go watch that.
Yeah.
But if for me to sit here and keep forcing myself to play that, I wasn't gonna have a good time. So.
No, exactly. If there's going to be people that come in just simply because you're playing one specific game, well, fair enough. You know, a lot of the time that's how you do end up meeting people on Switch, is you want to see a particular game. But the way I see it, and the reason that I get close to people on Twitch now, is you go for the game, you stay for the person that's streaming it, and now like if all right, fair enough. I appreciate I don't get the opportunity to come back to your channel as often as what I would like to, because of time difference and work and things like that.
It is what it
But,
is.
you know, I can come onto Twitch and you're sat there playing Barbie Sports World or something crazily random like that. And I don't care. I'm not coming in for the game. I'm coming in because it's Jake streaming and I want to come and say hi.
Yeah,
And that's the sort
I
of
follow streamers, not good games.
exactly 100%. And that's the sort of dynamic that I want. Not somebody coming in now, oh, he's playing Resident Evil 2. I really like Resident Evil 2. Let's go and watch Resident Evil 2. You know, I want to be the type of guy that people come in to watch because it's me. You know, they enjoy me as a person. They enjoy the laughs and the banter that we have. And I'd much rather have that. And I've said for a while, I'd rather have 10, let's say 10 consistent viewers that come on to watch me than just have to play the same game constantly over and over again so that I had 60, 70 people. You know, I'd rather take the smaller number that just want to see me as opposed to getting the bigger numbers just for the game.
Right. And I'm not gonna lie, when I was playing Kill Me Floor 2, I did have a couple like situations where I threw my weight around in it.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, we've all been there. Yeah. You get good at the game, and you've got to give the big dick statements on you. Like I used to do it when I had the records for Resident Evil 5. Like, oh, I'm a 20-time world record holder. You know, I'm this, I'm that. You know, it's got to be
done. One in particular that still sticks with me. I was doing so. I had a channel points redemption where like it was like 2,500 channel points. You can pick my class in Kill Me Floor 2, whether I'm doing a world record or not. You can choose the class I'm playing, and I'll pick to it. Yeah. And this guy came in, and I was playing as a berserker, which is melee weapon based. And I was having fun, like just hitting things with a shovel. And he started like saying, "Well, if you use this weapon and upgrade this and blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Listen, man, I appreciate you have some knowledge. I do too. No backseat, just hang out for a bit, chill out." He was like, "All right, man, my bad." Like maybe like 2-3 minutes later, he's doing it again. I was like, "Hey, man, look, I told you, chill out on the back seating. I understand you have your play style. I have mine. Let's move on."
Yeah.
And I shut him down again. He apologized. Cool. Third time, he was like, "You're just not very good at this game, are you?" So I paused my game and put my controller, like I dropped my controller so he heard it. And I just put my hands together and I was like, "I bet your world records are way better than mine." And we just sat there in silence for a few minutes.
I love it when you're able to, like, because obviously, we've all been at this for a while. And we know how things go, every now and again you will get somebody like that wants to try and throw it in the chat that they know more than what anybody else. One of the funniest that I've ever witnessed is I was watching somebody that I used to watch an awful lot that I don't anymore. Again, we won't drop any names. But Resident Evil 0 comes up. And
I'm sorry.
At the time, it was when I was playing through it on console to get the platinum trophy. And this guy comes in and he's telling everyone how good he is at it. At one point, he sat and claimed to have been able to beat the game in 40 minutes. And straight away, I dived on that. I think my exact wording, I didn't go over the top or anything like that, but my exact wording to him was, "No, you didn't. You have not beaten Resident Evil 0 in 40 minutes. He says, no, I have. What I did was I did blah, blah, blah. Listed all these things. And I'm like, dude, no, you didn't. You did not beat it in 40 minutes. I can promise you that. I said,
even as Wesker, you didn't do it in 40 minutes, bro.
Yeah, exactly. I said, if you can show me you beating that game within 40 minutes, then I will, I'll hold my hands up. I'll apologize. I'll do whatever you want me to do. But
I will buy you lunch.
Yeah, because I knew it's not possible to beat Resident Evil 0 in 40 minutes. I think the world record with door skip is just over an hour. And I want to say it's still Pezzy. I'd be surprised if it isn't, because, when it comes to speedruns for 0 and 1 HD, Pezzy's the goal, and everybody knows that. And I'm like, so you're in this stream claiming to be able to beat who everyone sees the best in the world at that game in, and not only beat them, but you're talking a good 20 minutes different. I'm like, dude, you're just lying. And funnily enough, the guy didn't say anything in the chat at this point. But I think the time that I had it happen was my first ever 24-hour stream. And I was still streaming from console at the time. So as you'll know yourself, when you're streaming from console, you have to either stick to the same game, or you have to end your stream and then reboot your stream with your new game. So what I decided to do to avoid that happening was play Final Fantasy X, because I knew if I was to start from the very beginning of the game, I knew I could get a 24-hour stream out of that one game. And I was going up to the Unalaska fight, and some guy comes in, and he's like, "Oh, you're really underleveled for this point in the game, aren't you?" So I said, "Yeah, I am a little bit. I normally like to be a little bit stronger than what I am going into this fight, but we'll see what happens. If I need to go back and grind a few more levels, I'll go back and grind a few more levels." So then he starts trying to tell me how to play the game. And I started off similar to yourself of, look, I can appreciate you might know the game well. I don't really like it when people try to backseat, so let's just try and cut that out. And then he's telling me, what you need to do is you need to do X, you need to do Y, you need to do Z. And I wouldn't mind, but the suggestions that he's making were awful suggestions. I'm like, that just would not work. It's not going to work. Like, I played Final Fantasy for a long time. I know what I'm doing. The third time that he starts, he's claiming to have beaten the game in 5 hours. And I'm like, no, you haven't. I can promise you, no, you haven't. I think the world record with it is like 10. I'm like, you're claiming to have half of the time of the current world record that, like, you've not beaten it in 5 hours. Come on. I can't remember what it was that he said to try and justify it. I think it was something along the lines of having some sort of tool for the PC version where you can get through X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, yeah, no, having it. Unless you can show me proof. Like, I'm not having it. You've not beaten this game in 5 hours. No way. But it was just one of those that it was just a troll. Do you know what I mean? Just somebody trying to come in, throw the weight around. And I'm like, dude, it ain't gonna work. At that point, I was about 20 hours in anyway, so I just didn't have the energy to be able to react. Like, he was trying to get a reaction out of me, and I just didn't have the energy for it.
Right.
But no, you see that all over. Unfortunately, that it's the internet. You get trolls on the internet. There's nothing we can do about that. You've just got to deal with them and shut it down.
Yeah. And I don't mind dealing with them. I kind of find it fun, honestly.
Yeah, it sort of depends on what mood I'm in, I suppose. Sometimes, like you say, I'll just go that route and I'll just call them out. Other times, I like to have a little bit of fun with them. But play along with it and see what kind of ridiculous claims come out. But at other times, I'm just like, no, I can't be asked. You're talking shit. Go away.
I can't be bothered. Go away. I'm done.
Yeah, exactly. Right, looking at the time, I am going to have to sort of start wrapping things up a little bit because work in the morning, and we all know what Mondays are like. Just as, say, a little sign-off, if you like, or a little closing statement or anything like that, is there any particular advice that you'd give for people out there that are either looking at Twitch and they're maybe just starting out, or they're considering starting out? Is there anything, and any sort of hints or tips that you could give to someone like that?
My biggest one that I've given people is never expect overnight success.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen overnight. You have to work to it.
Yeah, massively.
Like, even building followers, building viewers, it's not an instant thing. There's no instant gratification when you go into content creation.
No.
So this is the same kind of thing. Like, just work at it, stick with it. Eventually, you'll get your grind, and you'll know what you'll find your base, your little niche. Like me, it was Killing Floor 2. That was my niche. And
yeah.
I just kind of rose from there. And I still have followers that are like, hey, Jake's not playing Killing Floor. Let's still hang out and see what he's doing now. So it's like I said, just you can't come into this and think, yeah, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. No, you can't just jump into it and think this is going to be my career. You have to work for it.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a very good point. Because I think that the mistake that people can't make sometimes is that they'll see people on Twitch, and they'll look at, the bigger streamers, if you like. Well, sorry, bigger streamers. And, they'll see them with like 80 to 100 viewers and they think, oh, this is brilliant, chat's popping, I could do that. And then within 2 weeks, they're like, well, why is this not happening for me? And
Yeah.
a lot of the time, people do tend to forget about, like you've rightly put there, the amount of groundwork that you've got to put into it, and, the connections that you have to make and things like that. So I think, don't expect overnight success. That's a really good piece of advice to be given to somebody that's just starting out. But as I say, I'm going to wrap things up from here. Speaking to you personally, though, I do recall we did say that we'd do another blast through of Operation Raccoon City, which we've not been able to do. So I will get in touch with you about that. Because
let's just do it right now. It's fine.
Honestly, I'd love to be able to. But
it's only 5 o'clock, bro. We can do that.
It might only be 5 o'clock for you. I do have a lot more free time coming up now, though, over these next few weeks as opposed to what I've had. So, I'll definitely give you a shout and we'll get something arranged.
All right, man.
But, thank you very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure having you and chatting away to you. And I'll be sure to catch up with you sometime soon.
All right, sounds good, dude.
All right, Jake. Take care, buddy.
You too, man.
Bye-bye.